Did you know that according to a study by the University of California in Berkeley, practicing drawing for just 15 minutes a day for 6 weeks can improve creativity and problem-solving skills by up to 25%. So today let's kick off the 6-week challenge by drawing Shin Sonic from the Sonic tapes. Welcome back everyone, and thanks for joining me today. For this lesson we'll need a sketch pad and a pencil. I'll start the sketch off with this 0.7mm mechanical pencil with a 2B graphite stick, but you're welcome to use whatever you'd like. Let's begin by breaking down a drawing with some basic guidelines. We're going to start with a line coming down the center of our page, starting from the very top in the middle. Just going to lightly work my way down towards the bottom. Now let's move back to the center and draw another line going across from left to right. Now we're going to use these two lines to help us create a large circle in the center of the page for the head. So from that center point, let's move up to right about here. It's going to mark off the top. Now let's measure this distance from the center point down towards the bottom and do the same thing. And then we'll repeat that across this horizontal line. So measuring the distance from the center down towards the left and then down towards the right. Now to create our circle, all we need to do is connect the center point of each mark with a curve. So we're going to start with the top left. Now this circle doesn't have to be perfect. We're just using this as a guide. We'll probably come back and erase this out later. But this circle and these guidelines are going to help us with the alignment of our drawing. Now you want to start breaking down the basic shape and pose of our character. Let's start with the bottom edge of the mouth. We're going to connect the corners of our circle with a curve going up and then down. And we're going to open up the mouth. So on the left side, just round this out. Come down and then in towards the bottom. Do the same thing on the right. Now you want to round out the bottom of the mouth. Come back and just smooth this out. Now let's go up to the top. We're going to move over towards the left, draw a half circle, going up and then down across the top of the muzzle. And then in the center along the top, we're going to draw a small oval for the nose. Now let's add some shape to the muzzle. Let's start from the left side. We're going to bend this down. Go out. Now we're just going to trace the mouth along the outside, going a little bit wider along the cheeks. Just narrow across the chin. And let's just mirror this over on the right side. Just making sure that we line up the edge, the distance from the inside of the mouth, on both sides around the cheek. Now I want to layer the eyes in behind. On the left side of the nose, we're going to curve this up and then out towards the outside of our circle. Now this is the top edge of the brow. And we want to give our character some beady eyes. So underneath the brow, draw a small half circle. And then in the center, add a small black dot. Let's trace that eye along the bottom. Just going to add a thick fold underneath each eye. Now I want to add some guidelines for the teeth. Let's start with the front row, starting from the ends. Angle this down and in. Curve the bottom edge of the teeth going up and then back down. Now I want to add the second layer. So I'm going to step in, draw two short lines coming down, and go straight across. Now let's draw the bottom row of teeth. We're going to start on the left side, draw a straight line going up on either side. Connect the ends with a curve coming down, across, and then up. Now from here, it's going to bend the teeth coming around and then in towards our circle. Let's add that inside layer and step in, straight up. And then again, just drawing a curve going across. And then from the corners again, I'm just going to bend this up and then in towards our circle. Let's add that spike in the center of the head leaned over towards the right. So we're going to start from the end of the brow on the left, going up, and then bend that across, come down, and then across towards the right brow. Now let's add two more on either side. Start back on the left, bend this around and over, go all the way around the outside, and then in towards the cheek. And then on the right, do the same thing, going up towards the same height, go around the side of the head, and then in. Now I'm going to add some basic shapes to the body. Let's start on the side of the mouth, angle this down and in, draw a straight line going across. Now I'm going to add the bones of the legs. From these two corners, we're going to go out and then down, add a circle across the knee, and then come down and angle towards the ankle. Let's add another small circle on the ends. Now the front arm is going to come out along the side. We'll start from the side of the mouth and goes up and out on both sides. Draw a larger circle from the elbows. Come down and then in. Now on the ends, we're going to add another circle. Let's add one more spike along the side of the head. We're going to start from the cheek, then this around, and just tuck that in underneath. Now we're going to go back and add some thickness and detail to the arms. Let's start from the side. I'm just going to bend this out and then up towards the elbow. Now I'm just going to go around the center bone and then come down towards the wrist. Let's move over. Just going to taper this so the arm gets narrower, coming in, and curve this back in underneath the body. Let's do the same thing on the right. Going up towards a point, go around the forearm, and then in, taper this up towards the elbow, and then back in towards the head. Let's add some large claws along the end of the hand. We're going to start with the thumb. Along the inside of the circle, start with a straight angle line going up, bend this across, and then down. And just mirror that over on the right side. Now it's going to thicken up the claw, coming in, and then down towards the bottom of our circle. Now I'm going to add that first claw, starting from the top of the thumb, going up and across, and then out, and then down towards the tip, taper the back in. Let's repeat that over on the right side. Let's layer 2 more claws on the side. So from this knuckle, we're going to step down, bend this up, come across and down towards the tip, and pull that back in, and do that one more time. Now let's add some shape to the body, coming down and in towards the hips. Just going to draw the upper thigh. Again, just tracing the outside of that center line. Now from here, it's going to round out the lower torso in the middle, just tracing the inside edge of the legs, and then come down towards the ankles on both sides. Now the feet are going to get mostly covered by the hands, so let's start along the bottom of the foot. We're just going to round this out and come down, bend this up and then in. And then we're going to layer 2 more claws on either side. On the top, just pulling this in. I'm just going to draw on top of the hands. Come back and just erase that out later. Now that we have our rough sketch in place, I'm going to go back and erase some of these guidelines. Now that we cleaned up our drawing, we're going to use a rough sketch as a guide to help us layer on some more detail and refine the shapes. I'm going to start with the nose. Just go back and just darken up our lines. And I'm not going to go too dark. I just want to leave enough room to make adjustments later if we need to. Just adding a fold across the top of the muzzle, and just blend this out towards the cheeks. Now let's go back to the eyes. I want to add a fold along the inside edge of the brow. Just work our way around the eyes. Points across the outside of the eyelids. And then I'm just going to add some wrinkles around the eyes, going underneath the brow, and then along the outside. Now with the spikes, I'm just going to give a little bit of a fur texture along the outside. So just pulling these little points going up and then out. You can also give it a little bit of a bend and curve. And working away from the outside coming down. So you can see I'm just pulling this up and out and then back in. I'm using that sketch as a guide. So you want to stay within those boundaries. Add a little bit more fur along the outside. I'm just going to pull this around the side of the head. Add a little bit of fur along the outside, coming in. adding some fur along that second spike. Now with the mouth, we're going to add some folds across the top edge. And we're just going to add a little bit more shape, coming down in the middle. Now again, you can see with the fur that I'm just pulling out some points a little bit further than some others. Just adding these little sketch lines going around. Just working with the curve of that spike. So we're just bending the fur going around. You can also add a little bit of texture coming from the edge of the mouth, going up and then out. And you can also add a little bit of texture across the top, coming in. Now I want to go in and separate each individual tooth. Now I want to start in the center. I'm going to go up and I want to expose the gum line. So I'm just going to round this out on the left, then come down towards that bottom. And we just round out the bottom of the tooth. And we can offset each tooth so it doesn't have to be the exact same height on either side. Just going back and forth from left to right. Now at some point I'm going to want to add a little fang just to make it a little bit more menacing. So right here, let's go up. Round out the gum line, just pull that down towards a point and curve that back in. Just like that. And then we'll layer the side teeth in behind. And as we go out towards the side, the next tooth is going to get layered in behind. Work our way out towards the side, just a couple more. And just finish off the gum line, just pulling this in towards the side tooth. Let's repeat that across that second row. Also add a small fang along the ends. And this row of teeth can be a little bit smaller than the front row, and give the impression that it's a little bit further back in towards the mouth. Now I'm going to do the same thing across the bottom row of teeth, going in the opposite direction. So the gum line will sit along the bottom edge. We can also add a fang. So I'm just going to pull this up and then in, making it a little bit longer. And then we'll tuck the side teeth in behind. We should add that fang right about here. Now as we get out to the molars, we're just going to flatten this off. So rounding this out, so you can see the top edge of that molar. And then we're going to start layering this on top, going around the top, and then working our way in. So the overlap is going to come inwards. It's going to add a small row of teeth along the inside. Now again, as we get out toward the side, we're going to pull the molars in. So the overlap is going to go on top and then in. So right about here, you can just draw a rough circle. Let's add a guide for the tongue. So bending this in toward the center, and then a curve across the back of the throat. I'm going to continue to add that fur across the outside of the arms. So we're going to start with that curve, and just bend the fur going around the elbows. So just gradually making our way around. We can also beef up the forearms, just pulling that fur a little bit further out on both sides. And then the same thing across the body and across the legs. Now with the claws, I'm just going to beef this up, make this a little bit bigger. And in. I'm just going to round out the edge of the claw. Coming down in towards the palm. And just separate the end of the claws. Let's do one final cleanup before we add some more details and shading. Now I switch to a thicker pencil. This is my 0.9mm, and start adding some contrast and again some more details. Now along the top of the nose, we're just going to lightly sketch out a small circle for highlight. Just darken up the bottom of the nose and then fade that up towards the highlight. And we just want to feather out the edges. And then just working away around the muzzle. And I'm applying some thick and thin lines. So just to help give it some weight. And from here it's going to layer in some wrinkles and folds around the eye. The intention is to darken up that area, just to push this into shadows. And we're just stretching the skin and flesh across the side. So from the eyes, we're just pulling this out. So from the mouth, from the muzzle, just pull some of that fur and texture in. Also enhancing some of that fur texture across the brow. I'm just going to go in and enhance that fur along the outside. Now I want to go a little bit darker along the outside of the fur and just blend that in. So we're just fading that fur in towards the head, just to give it a little bit of a softer look. You see that I'm just working with the curvature of that spike. Now it's going to just enhance the teeth. And it's interesting that every reference that I've seen with this character, the character doesn't actually have any ears. So we're just going to leave that off to be more authentic. Now I'm going to go and just darken up the gum line. Just using the side edge of my pencil, I just want to lightly add a different shade on the teeth. Also go a little bit darker along the side, just to push this into a shadow area along the back. bit darker with this gum line. Now I actually want to come back in and start adding some drool across the chin. So we're going to start in between the teeth. Just going to lightly trace this out, going around the chin, and then just dripping that down towards the bottom. Let's add one over on the right side, coming down a little bit lower, going across the edge of the gums. And we can go back in and start detailing this out. Go back and just shade in the gum line. Now we're just going to darken up the back of the throat and want to fade this out as it comes along the side of the mouth. Alright, here we're just going to start fading this out, going a little bit lighter. Now let's darken up the back molars and then fade that forward. We're also going to darken up the front of the tongue and then fade that back. Then we're going to use our shadows to help add some more shape to that tongue. So by going dark along the side, we're just going to dip the tongue coming down along the edge. And also darken up the center seam to make it look like it's folding down. I'm just going to break up the edge of the claw with a little bit of a fur texture treatment. These little lines going across Now with the legs, we're just going to shade this in from the bottom coming up to push the body into a bit of a silhouette so that the head and the arms are casting a shadow across the back. I'm just going to darken up the top of the body and then fade that down. I'm just going to darken up the palms, going in behind the claws, and fade that up. Now with these shadows, we're just going to imagine that the light's coming from the top of our character coming down, so the shadows sit on the bottom edge with the highlights across the top. I'm not going to get too heavy with these shadows either. Just want to place them in certain areas on the bottom of the head. Now along the eyes, just going to darken up the area underneath the brow. And this will help enhance the eyes, the center of the eye. We'll darken up the bottom, and then again, fading that out. Now at this point, I'm just going to wrap up my drawing by cleaning up my shadows, and always be sure to sign my artwork, and that's pretty much it. There's a sketch illustration of Shin Sonic. Now it's important to not only practice each day, but challenge yourself with other art styles. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for daily videos where I'll show you how to draw different characters just like this one. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.